Groovy English Podcast.
Hey there! Welcome back to Groovy English. I'm Chloe.
And I'm Aiden. We share real stories, useful tips, and everyday English to help you grow with confidence.
Wherever you are in your English learning journey, we're glad you're here.
If you're enjoying the podcast, feel free to like, subscribe, or share it with a friend. Let's get started.
Hello, lovely listeners, and welcome back to Groovy English, the podcast where we talk about learning English and life in a real, honest, and groovy way. I'm your host, Olivia, and today's episode is one I've been so excited to share with you. Because today, I want to talk about how English helped me make friends all over the world. Not just practice partners. Not just people I exchanged messages with in a chat room. I mean real friendships. People I've laughed with, cried with, shared music and recipes with people who live thousands of miles away, but feel incredibly close. And it all started with a simple desire. I wanted to connect. When I first started learning English, I had no idea it would open so many doors. Like a lot of people, I began with grammar books and vocabulary lists. I didn't even dream that one day I'd have friends in Mexico, Japan, Germany, Brazil, and Nigeria. But something amazing happens when you learn a new language. Your world gets bigger. At first, I just wanted to be able to understand movies without subtitles. Then I wanted to read books. Then I started watching YouTubers who spoke English, and they felt so friendly and relatable. I thought, hey, I want to talk like that too. I want to sound natural. But the real shift happened when I joined an online English forum. I was nervous to post at first. My grammar wasn't perfect. I wasn't sure about my vocabulary. But I took a deep breath and introduced myself. And to my surprise, people responded. Kindly. Supportively. Some of them were learning too. Others were fluent but happy to help. That first interaction felt like magic. What I learned very quickly was this. When you speak the same language as someone, you get to see them. You don't just exchange words. Instead, you exchange experiences. I met Maria from Argentina in that same forum. She was a student like me, also learning English. We started chatting privately, sharing voice notes, correcting each other's sentences. But very quickly, it stopped being about English. We talked about our families, our cities, our favorite foods, the first movie we cried at. We both loved baking, and one day she taught me her mom's recipe for alfajors. I shared a banana bread recipe in return. That exchange felt so warm and personal. We were no longer just language partners. We were friends. All of that was possible because we shared a language. And that language was English. The more I opened myself to the world of English, the more it gave back. I joined language exchange apps, and suddenly I was having conversations with people from all over. A guy in Japan who loved indie rock. A woman in France who was obsessed with K-dramas. A Nigerian engineer who taught me some slang from his region. A Canadian who sent me pictures of snowy streets because I told him I'd never seen snow in real life. Some of these friendships were short. Just a few messages back and forth. Others lasted months or years. But each one taught me something. Each one reminded me that behind every accent, every screen, every country code, there's a human being with stories to tell. One of the most exciting moments in my English learning journey was meeting one of my friends in real life. Her name was Yuki, and we'd been talking online for over a year. We bonded over our love for Studio Ghibli movies, dogs, and photography. One summer, she traveled to my city for a short study exchange. We met up, nervous but thrilled. We hugged like old friends. And we were old friends, just ones who had never shared the same physical space until then. We spent hours walking, laughing, and speaking English. Sometimes we slipped into our native languages and then laughed about it. But most of all, we understood each other. Not just because of English, but because we'd already connected through English. Making friends through English also helped me build something really important: confidence. When I had conversations with native speakers or advanced learners, I was nervous at first. What if I said something wrong? What if they didn't understand me? What if I embarrassed myself? But guess what? Every single time, they were kind, patient, interested in what I had to say. And when I didn't know the perfect word, I found another way to explain. That process of trying, failing, trying again is what real communication is all about. Little by little, my fear faded. I stopped judging myself so harshly. I stopped aiming for perfection and started aiming for connection. Here's something else I discovered. There isn't just one kind of English. There's British English, American English, Australian English, and then there's global English. That's the English spoken by people like you and me. English with an accent. English mixed with local slang. English that's rich, colorful, full of personality. And the more people I talked to from around the world, the more I appreciated that. I stopped trying to sound like a textbook. I started speaking like me. My English became a reflection of who I am, my culture, my rhythm, my voice. And my friends? They loved it. Because it was real. Some of my closest online friendships have lasted for years. We've celebrated birthdays, supported each other through breakups, shared playlists, sent memes, watched movies together while texting. Sometimes I forget we haven't even met in person. That's how strong the connection is. And the most beautiful thing? We probably never would have met if it weren't for English. We live in different parts of the world. We come from different cultures. But English gave us a bridge. A way to reach across oceans and say, "Hey, I see you. Let's be friends." Of course, there were funny moments too. I once told a British friend I was pissed, meaning angry. But he thought I meant drunk. We laughed for days about that one. Another time, I said, "I'm so hot," during a video call. I was talking about the weather, but my friend thought I was complimenting myself. She made a dramatic face and said, "Okay, confident queen." It's moments like these that make friendships so fun. The misunderstandings become inside jokes. The awkwardness becomes shared history. And honestly, those moments made my English better than any grammar quiz ever could. Through my friendships, I've also learned so much about different cultures. I've learned how to say cheers in 5 languages. I've learned how Ramadan is celebrated, how Lunar New Year is prepared, and how birthdays are celebrated in different parts of the world. I've seen how people express kindness differently, how humor works in different contexts, how some cultures value directness while others value subtlety. And all of this learning happened through English conversations. That's the power of language. It doesn't just teach you words. It teaches you people. If you're just beginning your English journey, or if you've been learning for a while but feel stuck, this is my message to you. Use English to make connections. Don't just study it. Don't just keep it in a notebook or an app. Take it out into the world. Find someone to talk to. Join an online group. Watch a live stream and leave a comment. Say hi to someone in a language exchange app. You don't need to be perfect. You just need to be present. English isn't only about fluency. It's about friendship. And you know what surprised me most? How much culture you absorb when you speak someone's language, even if it's your shared second language. With English, I've picked up little habits from my friends, saying cheers instead of thanks after someone hands me something, or asking, "You all right?" the way my British friend does. Not because someone looks upset, but just as a greeting. These small details made me feel like I was part of something bigger than myself. It was never just about grammar or vocabulary. It was about understanding how people live. There was a time when I joined a book club that met online. We read novels in English, of course, and discussed them every week. The group had people from Mexico, Poland, Japan, and Turkey. I remember thinking, how amazing is this? We're all from completely different places, but we're laughing at the same jokes, getting emotional over the same characters, connecting over stories that aren't even from our cultures. English was the bridge, but the friendship we built? That came from shared humanity. Another meaningful moment was when I volunteered to help international students adjust to university life. My job was to host welcome events and language exchange nights. I thought I'd just be helping them, but they helped me too. One girl from Korea was so shy at first, barely saying anything. But after a few weeks of casual conversations, sharing snacks, and laughing at silly icebreakers, she opened up. She told me she felt safe talking to me because I didn't judge her English. That meant the world to me. Sometimes people think you need perfect English to connect with others. That's just not true. Some of the most heartfelt conversations I've had happened in broken English. I've cried with friends after hard days. I've celebrated their wins, like getting a job, finishing a degree, reuniting with family. None of those moments needed fancy vocabulary or perfect pronunciation. They just needed honesty and kindness. I've also learned how important it is to listen, not just talk. In international friendships, listening becomes a superpower. It's not just about understanding the words someone says, but paying attention to how they say it, what they leave unsaid, what they're trying to express. When you listen with your heart, not just your ears, your friendships deepen. English gave me the confidence to travel, to go to countries I'd never been to, meet people I'd never met, and still feel like I belonged. I remember being in a hostel in Portugal, sitting in the common room with travelers from all over the world. We were sharing stories over pasta and cheap wine. And what made it all possible? English. No one was speaking it perfectly, but it didn't matter. What mattered was that we understood each other and cared enough to try. Even online, I found so many beautiful connections. I follow people who post in English about things I care about, like mental health, creativity, food, personal growth. I leave comments, they reply, we start conversations. Some of those conversations turned into real friendships. It's like the world gets smaller every time I open up in English. Of course, it's not always easy. There were moments I felt left out because I didn't understand slang or cultural references. There were times I misunderstood someone and felt embarrassed. But over time, I realized everyone goes through that. Even native speakers mess up. What matters is showing up anyway. I also started journaling in English. At first, it was just a way to practice, but over time, it helped me process my thoughts differently. I wrote letters I never sent, imagined conversations, wrote about my fears and dreams. In a way, English became not just a tool to connect with others, but a way to connect with myself. And finally, one of the best gifts English gave me? It taught me to be braver, to take chances, to say yes to conversations I might have avoided, to reach out first, to not be afraid of being vulnerable or sounding weird. Because every time I did, I discovered that most people aren't judging you. They're just grateful you're trying. So that's my story, how English helped me make friends around the world. It started with nervous messages and slow conversations. It grew into voice notes, video calls, and real friendships. And now, I can't imagine my life without those people. They've helped me grow, not just in English, but as a person. So I encourage you, let English be your bridge, your doorway, your invitation into a world of laughter, connection, and growth. Because every hello you say in English could be the start of a beautiful friendship. And trust me, you'll be so glad you said it. Thanks for tuning in to Groovy English. I'm Olivia, and I'll talk to you next time. Until then, keep learning, keep connecting, and stay groovy.
Your English is shining brighter by the minute. Hit that next video to keep leveling up your skills. Or dive into our other episodes for more secrets to talk like a pro. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and share to join the Groovy English crew.